Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this final episode of FSU Weather of 2014. We made it through the year.
And we're getting closer to Christmas, although it really doesn't feel like it. We're still in the 70s this afternoon.
That's right. We were warmed up quite a bit, and that will change over the next few days. But for now, I'm student meteorologist Matthew Reagan.
And I'm meteorologist Jonathan Bellis. And that warm weather will continue into tomorrow, but the weather's changing by Sunday.
We got a cold front that's going to be pushing into our area, and we'll be talking about that a lot more in detail coming up later in the show. But it'll finally make those temperatures feel more like December here in Florida.
Yeah, and there will be ice skating rinks around town here at the Union tonight, starting at 8 o'clock in the FSU Union, and then tomorrow in Kleeman Plaza downtown for the Winter Wonderland.
There's lots of festivities this weekend. If you're not inside studying for finals, like probably I will be, head on out, take a study break. There's lots of fun, cool things going on around town.
Yeah, and there's lots to happen. There's the Jingle Bell Run at 6:15 tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours, and then the tree lighting right after that. And then the festivities really continue over the next couple of weeks with parades all over town, all over the Big Bend, really.
We've got lots of exciting activities coming up here, and if you're traveling home next week, we'll have your forecast for the next week and the remainder of the semester here.
And the temperatures by the end of exam week are going to feel a little bit more Christmassy, with lows down in the low 40s and maybe even the upper 30s.
Yep, absolutely. We've got a lot coming up later in the show, but you're going to tell us more right now.
I am. It was a warm day today, although we did not make 80 degrees today like we have the past 4 days. We did make the low to mid-70s across most of the area, 72 degrees here in the capital city here in Florida, 74 degrees in St. Mark's, and these temperatures are going to cool off into the low 60s tonight, so it's going to be a very mild night, and it's also going to be a little bit of a foggy night here across the Big Bend, and you saw that on the visible satellite this morning. See all of that white milky color here across the eastern parts of the Big Bend. That's actually fog this morning that formed and dissipated shortly after noon across most of the Big Bend area, and then we had a couple of clouds forming just off towards the west following the southeast wind coming off of the Gulf. Lots of warmth in play here, and there was actually a fire just about an hour or two ago just west of Panacea as well, so be careful of those dry conditions. It's still moist this time of year, but there are worse conditions for fire conditions, and it's going to be cooling towards the end of this week, so those that dry air is going to work back in here, and it's going to feel a little bit more like the holiday season, but those conditions didn't stop the Orion launch this afternoon, did they?
That's right. We had a cool experience here. If you were anywhere near the Kennedy Space Center, the Orion capsule launched there this morning at about 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it was a successful launch. It was scrubbed yesterday due to a boat and also due to some high-level winds that would have blown the capsule off track.
This capsule is slated to pave the way for new manned space exploration here. Hope maybe a mission to Mars, maybe back to the moon. We don't know, but it was a successful launch this morning. Yeah,
and the launch only went around the Earth a couple of times and then crashed back in the Pacific Ocean, where it was recovered by the USS Anchorage. But it was considered a successful flight. There's going to be some tests on the capsule and see how well it did, but overall it was a good idea.
The conditions that the capsule undergoes when it re-enters the atmosphere is pretty extreme.
Yeah.
But bringing it back home a little bit, we're going to send it out to our newest member of the FSU Weather family, Nicole, to talk about what's going on around town.
Thank you, Matt and John. And we started off, like John said, with some patchy fog, and we kept seeing some cloudy weather all throughout the morning and into early afternoon. But right now we are sitting at 68 degrees. Those temperatures didn't get up as high as they were a few days ago because of those clouds that were sitting in the morning. Dew point is at 60 degrees, so it's pretty humid today. And around the region we got high 60s up in Tallahassee and Monticello and Quincy, and then down towards the coast we got 76 degrees. So big difference, pretty warm because of all that offshore wind. Now satellite is showing all those clouds that are around the Big Bend area that are going to stay around tonight, that's for sure. Current winds are coming from the east, and they're going to shift towards the west once this cold front comes through. Now, wind is very low and waves are very low as well, so it's a perfect day for sailing. The waters are smooth, just wonderful day to go sailing. And Futurecast is showing that cold front that's coming through. Now, we're getting those cloudy conditions because of this cold front, but Kentucky and Tennessee is getting rain. We won't be seeing any of that. We might get a scattered shower or two, but that's really it. We're just going to get clouds and cooler temperatures, but it won't be that as bad as the cold fronts that came through a few weeks ago. It won't get us down to the freezing cold temperatures. It'll be very pleasant. And your weather for the Jingle Bell Run, remember to dress warmly if you are staying for the later events, but it's going to be pretty warm until the run. So just dress wisely if you're running. Make sure to dress appropriately. And tomorrow, it's going to get up to 76, so during the game, it's going to be pretty warm. Just be aware of that. We're not going to see those cold temperatures until Sunday, really. It's going to be cloudy and then clear, just like today. There's still a slight chance of rain, but if anything, it's just going to be some showers. And for your 7-day outlook, it's going to be beautiful for exam week. It's going to be perfect for studying out on Landis. Just wonderful, wonderful weather. And back to you, Casey, for the Southern Florida weather.
Thanks so much, Nicole. Great job for your first time. Let's go ahead and take a look southeast-wise. We see temperatures across our area, 68 degrees here in the metro area right now. Nice conditions here, really above average temperatures for this time of year here across the Big Bend region. Temperatures sitting pretty similar as we get into Montgomery, 69, Tupelo, 65, and Little Rock, 67. But a little bit hint of green here northwest of Little Rock is the sign of things to come as some cooler areas headed toward our area. It's also been very humid here across our area. We see 76% humidity right now in terms of that relative humidity value. Pretty humid, pretty sticky to your skin as you're walking around feeling more like summer than it is fall and heading toward winter. Now, satellite and radar here, we see that there is some shower activity near Little Rock right now, and just to the northeast, moving in toward Greenville, Mississippi as well, northwest Mississippi. As we take a closer look at that, we'll see this situation a little bit better. We see just to southeast of Little Rock right now, and moving down toward areas to northeast of Jackson, Mississippi as well. Also near Memphis, Tennessee, we see some heavy shower activity there, even some thunderstorms mixed in. And around Little Rock, a severe weather threat is not out of the question in toward that area, so we'll keep our eyes on that closely as we get in toward later this evening. Isolated wind damage not out of the possibility or realm of possibility there. Now, we'll watch this here, nothing expected in the way of severe weather here. Nice weather conditions at least the next 24 hours or so. But we are keeping an eye on this front as we could see some shower activity encroach upon our region as we get to 10 a.m. tomorrow near Tuscaloosa, Alabama, up toward Huntsville. We see there's a light area of light shower activity there. This is moving its way down to the southeast, and it will kind of weaken, but we can't rule out an isolated shower or two here across our viewing circle as we get later into Saturday into Sunday. Here from the cool front, we'll get more pleasant, nice conditions behind this front here. Nice weather conditions across our viewing circle as we get into toward your Sunday. Tonight, 57 degrees here in the metro area. Temperatures are north and west, though, a little cooler. We're talking about Little Rock, in fact, sitting at 51 degrees in toward that area. And tomorrow, 77 here, a nice day. Nice weather conditions, but cooler temperatures to our north and west. Right now, though, we'll take it back to the desk with Jonathan and Matthew.
Yeah, Casey mentioned that storm system moving through the Mississippi Valley, moving up into the Ohio Valley, and that's going to cause some traffic troubles in the skies over the next couple of days, especially in the northeast.
Yeah, we've got some weather delays right now at some of the airports up in the northeast. We got some ground stops as well. And you can tell us more about that.
Yeah, lots of traffic traveling through the New York City airports. The Teterboro and JFK airports are both being delayed by about a half an hour or so just because of all the traffic heading home for the holidays.
Along with the traffic, they're going to be experiencing a storm system over the next few days as well that's going to be dumping not so much snow, but a lot of rain.
And this storm system has a history still in Las Vegas and also in San Francisco. They're still dealing with the weather delays because they're not used to the rain showers that have moved through the last couple of days.
That rain will push on into the area, maybe provide a little bit of icing conditions on the road as well. But I hear Casey's back out at the wall to tell us more what's going on around the country.
That's right. And in fact, as we head toward the Christmas season, we see the weather situation across our area. We see 68 degrees right now here in the metro area. Temperatures toward our north and west a little bit cooler, much cooler in fact, in the north central part of the country. 44 in Kansas City, 32 in Minneapolis. Cool holiday-like conditions in the north central part of the nation here on this Friday evening. Now, kind of brightening the picture out just a little bit, though, we see the areas around Missouri, also down toward Mississippi as well. We're tracking some shower and thunderstorm activity, as I was mentioning a moment ago. Some severe weather can't be ruled out in Arkansas, but a very low marginal risk in toward that region. Now, your water vapor imagery, you see there's a lot of moisture that illustrated in the green color across our nation, but you can kind of pick this cool front out because right behind it, near around Fayetteville, Arkansas, actually down towards southern Arkansas as well, we see there's some dry air indicated in our orange color here. Excuse me, our orange color here, and we see this moving down toward our south and toward our east, down toward Greenville, Mississippi, but overall not too bad of conditions behind that. Your Doppler radar, we see southern Missouri, down near Cape Girardeau, Missouri, also near southern Illinois. We're talking about areas not too far away from Paducah, Kentucky as well, getting into some shower activity. Memphis, Tennessee. Again, we're watching those closely. A few embedded thunderstorms. Switching over though to a winter weather type situation. We see in New York State, we have some winter weather advisories in the purple under the radar here. Also some snowy conditions we're talking about to the northeast of New York City. We're talking around Albany, New York. We're also talking around Binghamton as well, getting in toward further in toward the northeast as well, northwest of Boston. Now, we do have some airport delays, mainly, though, just focused on Las Vegas right now. There's a 53-minute delay there, but most of the major airports across our nation sitting pretty good, relatively nice conditions. Actually, just updated down a 31-minute delay in Las Vegas. Now, going ahead and seeing a forecast for tonight, that we see 57 degrees here around our metro area, and you can see much cooler conditions in the north central part of the country. Only 11 degrees in Minneapolis, still kind of a warm up though. We were seeing negative temperatures in this part of the nation not too long ago. And then as we get in toward the forecast for tomorrow, we see 77 degrees here in the capital city. Warm conditions, nice weather situation. Much cooler though toward the north central again. 42 Kansas City. Going into some of the areas we don't normally talk about too much on the west coast area. We're talking about Phoenix, 74 degrees there. In central Arizona and in northern and central California, 63 degrees in San Francisco. But right now, I'll go ahead and take it over to a little closer look at home with Matthew.
All right, thank you, Casey. We're going to bring it back here around the Tallahassee area once again, and we need to take a look at where we've been to see where we're going. So here's where we were today. 74 degrees we saw as our high, a little bit warmer than we have been seeing over the past few weeks. The low of 51, far cry from those records. We were scooting up in near the 80s yesterday, but today we did not see that. It was a little bit more comfortable outside as you were walking around. Temperatures around the Big Bend region right now, we're cooling off considerably here. We're down into the 60s, so maybe later on tonight you might want to grab a light jacket just to bundle up a little bit, but nothing too cold. 68 in Tallahassee. Closer to the coast, we're a little bit warmer. 76 in St. Mark's. Carabel, you're at 69. The cool spots towards the north here, we have Valdosta at 65. But taking a look at our local satellite and radar imagery, we saw a few cloud covers scoop on through this morning and a lot of fog. If you headed out early on campus today, you saw that fog, but that burned off rather quickly into around 10 o'clock. We saw that pushing on out of the area. So nothing in the rain, nothing in the way of rain on the radar, but satellite, those clouds are moving in, and we're going to set up for a spectacular sunset here in Capital City. Those winds right now ahead of that front, primarily coming from the northwest, or the northeast rather, and some portions from the northwest, but really the winds are just kind of confused here at the surface, just a little bit ahead of that cold front that's approaching our area. And here's something that's quite interesting that can delineate a little bit more of where that cold front is coming. So here we have these arrows indicate the winds, and the longer the arrows, the stronger the winds. And then the colors indicate that temperature. Now, the yellows, we're about sitting at 60 degrees right now. 8 o'clock tonight, that's where we'll be. And as we push on into the later hours, we see the arrows really not doing much of anything right now, just a light breeze, and the temperatures will be quite mild moving on into the early morning hours tomorrow. But as we start to see the approach of that cold front, we see those winds switch around here as the arrows start to push more from the east as the cold front approaches. And then when that cold front really pushes through, you see the difference here. The arrows really lengthen quite a bit, and those greens indicate those cooler temperatures which are on their way. So that's the winds moving into Sunday and the temperatures as well. But if you're heading out on the water, it's going to be rather pleasurable out there. If you're heading out, really just a great day to get out on the water, maybe do some fishing if you're going to do that. If you're not studying for finals week exams, but if you are heading out there, it's going to be rather nice. But for tonight, it's going to be another mild night here in the capital city region. 57 degrees here in Tallahassee, Monticello 56. The rest of really the same story around the area, a little bit warmer towards the coast. And then pushing on into tomorrow, it's going to rebound really nicely. 76 degrees, going to be a great day to head outside to study for those finals, but maybe a couple sprinkles or two with the approach of that cold front. But now let's get on into the 7-day forecast for the final 7-day of the semester. Take a look at this. Saturday and Sunday, we're sort of really kind of warming up. It doesn't feel much like December, but then the rest of the week is really cooling down quite nicely. But Nicole and Shane, you got more to tell us.
Thanks, Matt. We do have a lot to say, in fact, about Super Typhoon Hagapit, which is currently influencing the Philippines, which I understand was affected by a super typhoon last year.
Yeah, that's right. This is going to bring flooding rain, winds, and storm surge to the area.
Yes, this is going to, in fact, influence the central Philippines, especially the city of Tacloban, which received a direct strike from Typhoon Haiyan last year. And they are really not looking forward to this. Evacuations have already begun because landfall is expected this weekend.
That's right, and it's really bad. It's killing about 7,300 people. Just scary out there.
Yes, Haiyan was a very dangerous storm, and Hagapit is not up there too high in the wind scales, for which everyone's very grateful. And one region in particular that's now experiencing any tropical cyclones is Florida, about which Donovan has more to tell us.
That's right. Thank you, guys. We're taking a look at our satellite and radar across the state. Not a lot going on. You do see down in central Florida, just south of Orlando, around Melbourne, they are seeing a little bit of rain down there. Not much more than what we're seeing here, with just a bunch of nothing all across the state. And this is our water vapor map. This moisture moving in our area is most likely a result due to these east winds coming from the east, pushing in our area. They're actually picking up quite a bit, but we'll talk about that more in just a moment. Here's our current conditions around the state. Here in Tallahassee, we're at 68 degrees. Pensacola is matching us, 61 in Jacksonville. Of course, as you get further south, you're seeing temperatures increase. Miami at 77, Key West also at 77. Very warm for the sun has set all across the state. It's still staying very warm. And here's our current winds that we were talking about just a moment ago. See 9 degrees in Orlando, 10 in Jacksonville. Could be why they're a little bit lower. And down here where this moisture's been occurring, you're seeing 14 miles per hour winds. Those are going to increase as the cold front approaches, and we believe that's what's causing it right now. And here's our radar. Again, much of nothing going on around Tallahassee, and we're going to take it down into central Florida, and again around Vero Beach, West Palm, and moving across the peninsula. A few rain showers, not much is going to accumulate, and we're going to talk about that more in just a moment as well. And here's a bigger picture down around Key West. This is mostly due to probably a disturbance on our satellite. We're staying dry for now. And here's our futurecast rainfall. We're talking about that. Maybe a 1/100th of an inch in Orlando, maybe a little more than a 10th in West Palm, and that's here on Friday. That's going to increase as at least the chances will, as this cold front approaches, but we're expecting to stay pretty warm. For tomorrow, we're going to be around 77 degrees here in Tallahassee, 77 in Jacksonville as well, 79 in Tampa, and then down there in Miami around 81, staying in the 80s. For now, we do have that cold front approaching. We don't expect a lot of bad weather due to that. That's mostly going to occur in the Appalachians, areas like that. We expect to stay warm with a cool down for your finals week, so it's a good time to be inside and feel these not so winter temperatures. But speaking of winter, we're going to send it over to Matthew to talk more about that.
Thanks, Donovan. We're going to be the, I'm going to be the Jack Frost of the room today. And I've got your winter weather update here, so we don't have tropical update anymore, but we got something even better if you're looking for a white Christmas. Well, maybe we'll have it here for you. even though it's a few weeks down the line. So here's what we got going on across the country right now. If you're heading up to the slopes, up in the Pacific Northwest, any of the mountains here near Colorado, you're going to see a light dusting of snow in those areas. So skiing forecasts are looking rather good here as we push on into the end of December. But as for down here, of course, well, we're looking dry and mild, so we're not seeing any snow, unfortunately. Well, we're warm, so maybe it is a good thing. Anyway, here's the northern part of the country. We're cooling down a little bit. We're actually rather mild for this time of year. It is December. And then the southern part of the country here, we're really warming up quite a bit. But now as we move into the relative humidities to see really the moisture content in the atmosphere, we see here in Kansas City 100% humidity. So the rainfall is starting to come down here as this low pressure system. You can kind of see it almost a comma shape right here indicated by the relative humidity. This is where the moisture really is settling in. And as this moisture pushes on up to the northeast, it's going to be causing quite a bit of a headache. But here it is expanded a little bit on the satellite and radar. You see that right here. Here's that low pressure developing right now with the cold front seen attached to it right here. So this will start moving and scooting on out to the northeast, causing a lot of travel headaches if you're heading on out to that area. And then we have our next storm system out here in the west, causing quite a bit of headaches out there as well. So we're looking rather nice down here, and this cloud cover will start to push in into tomorrow. But a more focus on the winter weather. We see this pink indicating this light mix of sleet and freezing rain, and then the more opaque colors here in the blue indicating the snowfall in the higher elevations. So this is going to be a rather miserable situation in the northeast, lots of rain and really cold, miserable weather. So if you are heading out, drive carefully because the icy layer could accumulate as well. If you head out to the Pacific Northwest, as I said before, the slopes, getting a nice dusting of snow here early on into December. And if you see a quick peek at Seattle, well, I always like to pick on Seattle because they're always raining in Seattle. So head out to Starbucks if you're there and grab yourself a nice warm hot chocolate. Here it is once again. We got the comma shape here indicated by the low. That'll be scooting on out into the area. And here's another interesting graphic as well to show what's going to be going on across the country as we push into the weekend. This storm system is going to start pushing on up into the northeast and cause quite a bit of headaches down there. And then we see the cloud cover scooping down into our area. That'll start pushing through and causing rather pleasant conditions here around the Big Bend region once again. So as we move into tonight, it's going to be a cool one in the northwest. We see Minneapolis down 11, and I love Billings. Billings, you're 29 degrees. Then the south, we're really looking rather warm. Everyone's going to be jealous of Miami because it's 71 degrees down in Miami. Beach weather possibly. I'll probably be heading to the beach when I go back home. And then into tomorrow night, it's going to be another cool night as that cooler Arctic air starts to settle back into the region. But for now, we're going to go ahead and send it back on over to Shane and Nicole.
Thanks, Matt, for that concise update on the wintry conditions going on across the country. We've got some special wintry events here in Tallahassee, don't we, Nicole?
Yep, we got our winter festival tomorrow, and that starts at 3 o'clock, and it's going to be in downtown Tallahassee. And I can't wait because we're going to have so many events, and it includes a couple of children's activities, which are crafting, bounce houses, and even a tree decorating contest for the really crafty kids out there.
Yes, there's also going to be skating at Kleeman Plaza on imitation ice. If only we could have the real ice out here, but that's not quite in the forecast. But this ice skating is going to be going on every weekend through the holiday season, especially on the days right before and after Christmas, ending on January 5th. So if you're in town, you want to get in your skating right about now before finals. And speaking of local weather, let's throw it out to the wall for one last local. We've got a look at the clouds that were moving across the region earlier today. There they are gliding over the region. It was pretty overcast this morning, but it broke up and we did have a very pleasant sunset to end the day. Now the skies are dark and it's 68 degrees. Skies are partly cloudy and the humidity is right up there at 76 degrees, which is above my threshold for comfort. Once it gets above 70% out there, it's very unpleasant. Now let's look at the local temperatures across the whole region. From 68 degrees in the capital, a little cooler out there, 64 in Quincy, and a little warmer down at the coast. Apalachicola is coming in at 70 degrees. Being surrounded by water on three sides, they don't cool down quite as quickly as everyone else. They also don't warm up as much either, so they get the best of both worlds, don't they? Here's the dew points. That moisture is not just settled here in Tallahassee, as Matthew said frequently. It is all over the region, from dew point of 60 here in Tallahassee. That's very close to our current temperature. That's why it's so sticky outside, due 64 in St. Marks, 63 in Bainbridge. The stickiness is here to stay across the region, certainly for the next 48 hours or so. And here's the rainmaker. That's why it's going to remain so humid. We've got the cold front swooping in from the northwest here, and it's going to hesitate over Mississippi and North Alabama, bringing them rain for sure over the day tomorrow. For us, it's just going to bring us cloudy skies and maybe an isolated sprinkle around here or there. Just take an umbrella with you if you're walking around between studying for finals. As for when you head out to watch the game with everyone as we cheer on the Noles, we expect pretty clear conditions to be making their way into the region as the cold front finally gets out of here by Saturday night and Sunday morning. It's going to be pleasant. It's going to be beautiful. I'll give you the numbers in just a minute. I personally am looking forward to the weather for finals week. But before we get there, let's talk tonight. It's going to get down to 57 degrees. It's going to be cloudy and the winds are going to be calm. That's going to make for a very mild night across the region. It's actually going to be a few degrees above average. So if you're out practicing for the marathon, make sure you do dress accordingly. Sweaters are nice, but they might not do the trick for such a warm, muggy evening. Now, as for the ACC championship forecast, this is what the Noles are going to be playing in tomorrow. 57 degrees at kickoff there in Charlotte, North Carolina, falling to 52 by the end of the game, with showers tapering off after a day of rainfall in North Carolina that we expect, with winds from the west-northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. As always, Go Noles will be cheering you on here from Tallahassee. And now let's look at the 7 days ahead. This is your finals week forecast. And whatever your thoughts are on your finals, I say the weather couldn't be better, so that should lift everyone's spirits as we get close to Christmas and check off those exams one by one. We're looking, starting by the passage of the cold front, 46 degrees on Monday morning, 61 degrees for an afternoon high, and the temperatures are pretty much going to be on autopilot all week throughout the finals week. So I'm looking forward to the weather, if not the exams.
Me too. It's just going to be beautiful. Great weather for studying out on Landis. It's just going to lift everybody's spirits, I think.
Yeah, exam time, especially the weekend leading up to it, when we're not cheering on the Seminoles. We're bundled up in Dirac and Strozier with all our books and notes. But this is weather that encourages us, like especially during the week between your exams, go out on Landis or out to the Integration Statue. The local campus icons are going to be especially beautiful. And that about wraps up our last desk for the year for FSU Weather. Let's throw it out to the wall for a special holiday message from all our weathercasters.
Thank you, Shane and Nicole. It's been a long semester here with all of our FSU weathercasters. It's been a semester of transition here as well. We have gone HD this semester. We have added new student meteorologists like Nicole here. We've also added Donovan and Matt over the last semester or so. This semester has been a long semester. It's been a semester of technical difficulties. As we know, if you've been watching over the last month or so on cable, we want to thank our professor as well, Dr. Alquist. We want to thank our control room, Andrew here, who has been on control room almost every night here the entire semester. We want to thank all of our student meteorologists here. And it's been a great semester. We'll be back in early January. There will be no shows over the next couple of weeks, unfortunately, for all of us here at FSU Weather. But I want to give everyone here a couple of seconds to say something about the next couple of weeks.
I want to let everyone know, as always, this is Shane here, our Friday team leader. I want to remind everyone that this is our last regularly scheduled broadcast for this semester and the year. But we are going to be constantly bringing you updates through Facebook and Twitter. Expect to see news from FSU Weather whenever weather strikes, which it won't stop striking for the holidays. So thank you for tuning in this Friday evening, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.